All right, what's up, everybody? We're here literally under a bridge in Bali with my man Callum
Hardingham.
Hardingham.
I
almost, yeah.
That's the go-to for most people, though.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, I've never figured it out, but yeah.
You know, the hardest thing about me running these podcasts is names.
Yeah.
Is names. I've had some real doozies, and that's not even a hard one. It's just.
It's a weird one. I don't know. Everybody does it though. It must be something. I don't know. But there you go.
Right.
We'll go with it.
Well, here we are, regardless, having a conversation under a bridge because it's going to start raining here in Bali, it looks like. But I wanted to bring you on the show because we had a connection at the men's group I've been attending here in Canggu, and you're doing some amazing work around the field of depression and mental health and creating programs to support people that are going through those challenges, which I think is super, super important. And especially people think that if you're living in a place like Bali, life is all good, but it's not all good anywhere where people live. People have real life problems and stresses and past traumas that they need to kind of get over, and just stoked to hear more about what you're doing and your story. And go ahead, introduce yourself and come on out.
Awesome. So Callum Hardingham. I've been a health and fitness and mindset performance coach for just under a decade now. And throughout that time, I've had the great opportunities to certify in many different areas like hypnotherapy, timeline therapy. So timeline therapy is essentially working with people's deep trauma and helping them release it through a disassociative technique, so you're not having to go through the trauma again,
right?
Or like have that conversation with a psychiatrist where you're talking them through the steps of your pain. You don't have to do any of that, but you can make incredible change with some of the deeper emotions like anger, sadness, fear, hurt and guilt. Wow. Which are kind of the cornerstones of most mental health problems.
Yeah.
So that's been a trip. That's been incredible to be able to offer my clients. And then in more recent times, trained in Ayurveda and yoga as well.
What's Ayurveda?
So Ayurveda is essentially the science of life.
Wow.
So, yeah. It's often described as the sister science to yoga.
Okay.
So whereas yoga is working with the asana, so the movements, the breath work, and then meditation, Ayurveda is looking at the mind and the different intricacies of the mind.
Okay.
But it's also looking at like how everybody's unique and individual. So you have the different doshas, which describes how you are built up with different elements. Like I'm predominantly a pitta type, so I'm more fiery.
Oh, wow.
And if I can understand that and how that's displayed in my life, I can adjust how I eat, how I live to be more optimal for me.
Right.
And in turn, you can help other people do that, and you can see where they're out of balance.
Huh.
I mean, we could do hours on just Ayurveda alone.
Wow, I've never heard of that.
It's worth checking out.
Yeah,
it's worth checking out. You can do assessments and find out so much about your biological makeup, your psychological makeup, and with this information, you can really start to personalize your life to get the best out of yourself on all occasions.
Right.
And it combines really nicely with yoga. Like I say, you can change your yoga practice to make it more unique to you, but actually something that's actually going to help you, because not all yoga practices are going to be great for you just because it's yoga.
Okay, right.
So it's all about bringing back balance in your life.
Right. Yeah, I find that, you know, living in Vancouver, I used to go to Bikram's hot yoga all the time, and after those sessions, I would just feel so like connected, balanced, just really tuned in. And I've gotten away from yoga greatly, actually. I haven't really done it for quite a while. And I definitely feel a difference where I'm at just in my state when I do it, or even just something like meditation, which I'm trying to do daily. And if I do miss a day, I definitely feel that void of not really having that time to just kind of check in. So I think that any kind of practice that makes people more mindful and aware of their feelings and life and everything is really, really important. So
dude, it's essential, right?
Yeah.
You know,
we're so busy doing all these other things that don't really help us. It probably cause more harm and damage to us
For sure.
than the things that do. So, because those things are being productive, you know, like it's
they're the hustle, they're the grind, they're being productive, and as long as you look busy, then you're okay.
Yeah. I did like a solo episode I just filmed the other day at the beach, and I was just like, you know what, surfing like soothes my soul.
Yeah.
Like after surfing, I just feel so good. And most people look at what I've done this past month, basically haven't done anything, but like productive. But I've been surfing every day. I've been going to these amazing community groups, you know, meeting a lot of people, having these really good conversations with other guys, and developing really good relationships. And that's like basically all I've done for a month, but I feel better now than I've felt in probably the last year, because before I came here I did feel things like depression, I did feel things like disconnection, I did feel things like just unhappiness, like just living in this routine and not really having these things that are important to me not available to me.
Wow.
So that's something I realized just the last couple of days, looking back on this past month here. I'm like, man, this is like the best I've felt in probably a year.
That's so
since I was in Australia last winter, surfing for a month and doing the same thing in Byron Bay. So I feel like definitely. So I feel that, and everyone has their own thing that soothes their soul. You know, like whatever. Some people it might be yoga, some people it might be writing, some people it might be just music, painting, or But a lot of times they don't really prioritize that because life and relationships or work and career, business gets in the way. And then it's not until you start doing those things again, be like, man, I really miss this. Like this makes me feel amazing.
Yeah.
So I think going back to depression, with your work, with the product that you're putting together in the program, like what has been some of your research that kind of is a core root for depression? Like what is at the bottom of it for a lot of people? Just not doing what they want, or past trauma that's not resolved, or
it's a whole
chemical balance.
The thing that I've found that I'm pretty clear on now is it's just such a blanket statement. It's way too vague, even just depression, because one person's depression could be completely different to another person's depression, but often, in fact, nearly 95% plus of the time, everyone's treated with the same thing, which is meds.
Right.
And I'm not all against meds, but I definitely just see the obvious flaw within them. There's not, from the research I've done, there isn't any cases of meds actually helping someone never have depression again.
Yeah, it's like a Band-Aid, right?
Yeah, it's like you've got a thorn in your foot and you're taking ibuprofen. Find the way of taking the thorn out of your foot.
Right, yeah.
Which people don't necessarily gravitate towards because that requires more effort. We like quick fixes.
Right.
We like the pill. We like to just do something that's easy, that doesn't require effort.
Right.
But then it's kind of
microwave results.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah.
We love that. But then they come and they go as easy as they came.
Right.
And so that's been interesting, understanding, it's completely unique for everybody and not treating it with the same approach. I learned that back with personal training. It's like the clues in the name, personal. It has to be personal. Don't train everybody the same way.
Yeah, right.
Neither can you treat everyone's depression the same way.
Yeah.
But that being said, one of the best things I think you can do is go, right, there's a variety of lifestyle interventions that everybody can benefit from, not only just to overcome the depression they're experiencing, but to just upgrade the quality of experience of life they're having, regardless.
Right.
Just like, how about we overcome depression and we upgrade your entire life? And I feel like that's a better option for everyone, right?
Yeah, and now that it's becoming way more mainstream, where you have a lot of people coming forward, people like Anthony Bourdain, then people that you look and see like, oh, they must have this amazing life because they're super famous, or they have this great following, or everyone's got shit.
Yeah.
Everyone is dealing with, and it's usually the higher level people are at, the more pressure, the more responsibilities, the more just heaviness that they must feel, and you see
lack
these
of
people,
relatability.
Yeah,
so they're almost like
in
these
a bubble.
people who are that good at what they do. By default, they are disconnected to the majority of people because not many people can relate to their life, and that's a problem within itself if it's not managed.
Yeah, and that's when you see these people like that you think have everything they want, and then the next day they commit suicide because they're depressed secretly, for like Robin Williams, as an example. Like there's all these people, and that's just like the big names. There's millions of people a year that literally, like, I live in the big number 1 or number 2 highest suicide rate in the country, or in the world, So Japan's number 1, Korea's number 2. And for example, previous girlfriends of mine, brother got drunk, broke up with his girlfriend, jumped off a bridge right in front of my apartment. Like,
so deep.
Literally just
so
like,
deep,
and that just happens all the time. Like high school kids, they don't get the grade that they need to get into a university, they kill themselves in high school, like 16, 17 years old. Like it's awful that there's so much pressure and not enough resources. Like one of the things that I tell my students, as I mentioned before, I'm at a university, and during one of the lessons we talk about something about, I can't remember the topic, but it came up about depression and stuff. And I shared a resource. Are you familiar with 7cups.com?
No.
7cups.com is a free therapy, online therapy, basically, with like licensed counselors that just like volunteer their time to do like one-on-one chat for people that are struggling. And I just told them, I said, look, like I know being late teenager, early 20s, mid 20s, there's a lot of stuff going on. Hormones, life, pressure, relationships, family, school, career, choosing. So if you ever need to talk to somebody, this is a free website. You can go on and just anonymous, confidential. And I just put the URL up on the board and I showed them the website on the projector. Dude, almost every single student was like writing down that website, because there's not a lot of resources available that aren't really taught or shared with people in school. And I think that's the number one thing that should be taught in school: how to deal with their difficulties.
How to be great at being a human.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even just the problems and obstacles we face, but the potential we all have that's unmet or not even come close to, because we're not taught how to just fulfill ourselves in life. One of the things that's came up a lot in this research is it seems to be depression is usually caused by unmet needs or dysfunctional coping mechanisms. So unmet needs from a physical standpoint, it might be gut health, thyroid problems because of that, or it could be emotional unmet needs, so not knowing how to express, so you suppress instead. Psychological, not knowing how to handle your thoughts and get out of bad thought patterns that aren't serving you, because you're not taught that that's even a thing.
Yeah.
Or spiritual.
Yeah.
And what was interesting about what you said earlier, you said that I've not been productive, and then clearly that's based on if productivity was only from a business perspective, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you've been super productive spiritually, and I like to split things into psychological, emotional, physical, and spiritual.
Yeah.
They're 4 sections that make up a human being.
Yeah.
So you've been super productive spiritually and emotionally, probably.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And as a result, the other side of things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's actually Di. We were talking about this on our episode at his place the other day. He runs the men's group that we it's just super dialed in guy.
Yeah, real cool.
And he was kind of sharing a story how he thought living in Vancouver, this is success, corporate ladder, house, car, bank account.
Yeah.
And then he found that once he got all that, he's like, well, I still feel this void. Like, this didn't really fill me up. And there's this analogy that I heard years ago that people have this ladder going up to a certain top of a building, but they realize that they're climbing the wrong ladder.
Right.
They're not addressing these other ladders
Things.
That also are super, super important, that will create the wholeness and the happiness that they're looking for. So yeah, man, I think that it's really, really important to have a balance. And these days it's getting harder and harder because just the pressures, the responsibilities, social media, trying to keep up with the Joneses, just always in your face. Like, I think depression right now, there's been studies that show social media time is equivalent to how unhappy you are. Like, if you're spending all your time looking at how great everyone's filtered lives are on their honeymoons, their new car, new house, new job that they just got, you're gonna feel like shit because you're home alone watching all this
comparing yourself.
Yeah. So I think there's a huge spike in depression and onslaught of social media and
100%.
cell phone addiction.
100%. It's almost a direct correlation, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's increased, and so is depression, and so is the meds that you can use, and depression's not going away. So a few things aren't working, and a few things are encouraging it. And they're kind of obvious when you have conversations about it. Like right now, this is why these conversations are so important, right? Because you kind of go, oh yeah. Of course. So I'm going to stop going on social media as much, or catch myself out when I am comparing myself, or when I am flicking through. If I flick through social media and I feel heavy, or I feel disempowered, or I feel frustrated, like I've inbuilt a behaviour in me to go, okay, I'm going to switch it off.
Yeah. So, do you have any tips of people who might want to try to switch it off? Because people need to be connected. Like that's how we got today, you know, like messaging on Instagram, where are you at, you know, like that.
Yeah.
But like, what is a healthy amount? Because I did this test with my students, actually. It was really interesting. I had them all download an app that tracks their cell phone time usage per day.
Yeah, I've noticed this one.
Guess what the average was?
Oh, something scary, like over 10 hours.
So I had students anywhere from 12 hours a day.
Jeez.
The average was about 5.5.
Wow.
That's like watching 2.5 movies on your phone.
A day.
A day, 5 hours, about 5 hours. But I had some like outliers that were just like 11, 12 hours a day on their phone.
Yeah, man.
But the average of across 300 students of mine that I, broke down the data, we did like this chart. It was over 5 hours a day.
Wow. What did they think when they saw that?
They were shocked.
Yeah.
Especially when I said that's the equivalent of watching about 2.5 movies on their phone.
A day.
Just 2.5 movies, just like this.
Jeez.
And if you compound that out, a week, a month, a year, your life, like just how much time are you just, like look at you know what's really interesting, man, since I've been traveling here, is my first trip was when I was 19. I was 19 years old and I went to Australia for a year, Southeast Asia and all that. It's a whole different scene. People are out in cafes, talking. People are on the beach, just hanging out, more like groups. Here, I see everyone just in groups, but like this.
Yeah, man.
And I'm just like, it's such a different experience than
Completely different,
before. That was 1999.
Yeah.
1999, backpacking. I had email. That's how we met up. It was, okay, I'm gonna be here. I'm in Sydney.
You had to be
email. Yeah, you had to be there. There's no I would have a text, like you can text and stuff, but it's so different now. And I feel myself that back then I was happier. Like I just felt like I didn't have to update everything. I didn't have to create the perfect Instagram picture. I didn't have to do this or that. Like you're just watching. You're just living it. Present. You're like in the present
so much
moment.
more present, right?
Yeah.
So much more present.
So I think that these days with these pressures and stimulus is constantly plugged in to everyone and everything constantly is probably one of the biggest keys to why depression is just running rampant.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the things that most people have, as you just said, that 5 hours on average is most likely the average.
Yeah.
And how much of social media is positively influencing you? I'd love to see a study on that. I mean, how much of it is people just moaning, whinging, whining, politics, or things that are not realistic that you're comparing yourself to and therefore putting yourself down to?
Yeah.
The majority is probably that. So if you put that in a pill and said, okay, the effects of this pill is you're going to feel shit, you're going to feel inadequate, you're going to feel disconnected, you're going to probably feel a bit angry, do you want to take some of this?
Yeah.
It's like, no one would fucking take it, but that's what's
we
happening.
buy it. We're buying the newest versions of it all the time.
We buy it and find faster ways to consume it.
Yeah. Wow.
Because we are all trying to just be the same.
Yeah.
It's the sheep mentality, man.
Yeah.
And I've been guilty of it. And
we are. It's part of our society.
Well, it's so wide that the people who are investing in this buy the greatest minds to make it as addictive as possible.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's their whole thing. Just the dopamine hits and just always wanting that.
Just one more like. Just one more scroll.
Well, that's what I wonder too. I was talking to this guy. He's got a ton of followers on Instagram. I'm like, because everyone is trying to build up their accounts, right? Like that's like the thing to do these days. And I started questioning, I'm like, well, why? Why?
Yeah.
And I talked to my buddy. I'm like, does this give you more pleasure? He's like, dude, honestly, it's so stressful. Mm-hmm. He's like, I have to plan every post. I get all these DMs. I'm constantly getting hit up by people. I'm constantly plugged into it because you got an audience of almost 300,000 people.
Jeez.
That are always just commenting on your stuff. It's it's part of you. You can never just turn it off. It's just this machine running your life. Yeah. And I was just and then I heard that perspective and I'm like, man, why does everybody else look at him that's what they want for themselves?
Well, they don't know.
I know, but it was just really a wake up call of really taking a step back and be like, why do people really want all these followers? And it comes down to status and like being the cool kid at school, you know, just people like me, you know, like that's what it is.
Validation, though,
validation,
as well.
Yeah,
people
that's
want,
what I mean.
You know, one of those core human needs that we all have.
Yeah.
One of them is significance, right?
Right, yeah.
And the idea here is like, it's okay to be driven by that to an extent, but through what resource?
Yeah.
And that's so far outside of your control. You're going to run into disappointment and more and worse.
Yeah.
It's just, I would never want to outsource my self-worth.
Right, yeah.
And that's what's happening here with numbers.
That's definitely what's happening here.
Yeah.
And it's just this new way society is putting relevance on who is important and who's not by looking at their follower count. Like, it's so fucked.
It's ridiculous, isn't it, when you say it out loud?
Yeah, like that's really how it is.
There's a small benefit of building your audience.
Yeah.
It's like if you have a message and you want to reach more people, great. But there's also a lot of challenge around that as well, and it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of commitment. I think you can manage it though. You know, my approach has been, number one, I don't go on my phone for the first 2 hours of the day.
Oh, good for you.
Religiously.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a no-no because you know, if you're looking at it from a nutritional perspective, the worst thing you could do is have something high in sugar to break your fast breakfast, right? Because it's going to fuck with your insulin for the rest of the day. You're going to go through pits and troughs of energy, and you're going to be craving carbs. I see it the same way for mental nutrition. It's like
mental nutrition. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Wow.
If I hit that dopamine fix, you know, that high, that sugar high of social media, and maybe getting some likes from the get-go, that's setting me up in a similar gear for the rest of the day, and I find it so much more infectious when I do that.
Right.
As opposed to if I don't do that, I just go, right, I'm going to go on. But prior to going on, I ask myself, why have I got this phone in my hand? Because we all know, like, half the time it's just there before you even thought about it.
Right, yeah.
I just decided I would insert a new step. Ask why.
That's good.
Like, why am I going on this?
Sometimes I just forget. Like I pick it up to send somebody a message, and then I see that I've got notifications. I say I got message, and I'm like, well, who was I supposed to message back? What was it? What was I doing?
It happens so easily, right?
Yeah. You just go down the rabbit hole of the never-ending abyss of the interwebs, and you're just like, now it's 10 o'clock at night, and I didn't do anything all day.
And you've hit your 5 hours.
Yeah.
You've done your five a day.
Yeah.
But,
the other thing too, like I just had an episode with a guy that he was on 25 different dating apps.
Wow.
He matched with 2,500 different girls.
Jesus.
Connected with over 1,000 of them. And we talked at the end of it. I'm like, dude, like, how much time do you think you spent on that, like pursuing that? And he's like, dude, I don't even want to think of it. Like, just like weeks, like just gone, like literally so much mental and physical energy, just like constantly waking up, new messages, replying, same conversation over and over and over with different, you know, girls, you know, and I'm just like, man, and I've done that too, and it just makes you realize, like, wow, like, and then the thing that was really powerful that came up the other night was like, how often do you connect with people like that are important, like your parents, you know? And I just realized, like, all these times I'm connecting with just randoms, but how often do I really have these good connections with my family members or close friends? Not even just in real life, but even just like through messaging or, you know, just something, you know, like, so there's just, we can go really deep here. I want to kind of transition with what we talked about before we started here. There's been a lot of big podcasts and big names in personal development talking about overcoming depression through psychedelics. And like magic mushrooms, psilocybin, MDMA, ayahuasca. So have you found any therapy or, I mean, research that kind of talks about those therapies as really substantial,
beneficial,
for overcoming depression?
For sure. I know MDMA therapy has been something that's been incredible for people for many different uses. You know, coming off harder drugs, overcoming depression, PTSD. It seems that psilocybin is doing the job. I haven't experienced it myself. It wouldn't be something I'm adverse to either. I think if things work and they're empowering for your body, then why not? You know, give it a blast. A good friend of mine's worked with ayahuasca 3 times now, and it's been an incredible experience for him. He's. I mean, the thing with ayahuasca and all of these things at the moment, you know, there's a danger to anything that's becoming popular, right? That. My view of the world is like, what's your intention? And I used to, when I was on drugs a lot and alcohol a lot for a long, big period of my life where I was severely depressed, my intention was to escape.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I'm going to continue to suppress things, make things worse, have a high and get lower. Whereas I think any of these things are great, and any of these things can not be great if your intention is to escape.
Yeah, right.
But if your intention is to explore or enhance something, then great. Then it's going to be good.
Yeah.
I feel the intention is the thing that changes everything, and ayahuasca, awesome. It probably opens the door. My friend said what it did for him is opens the door to the things he still then needs to go and work on. It's not another quick fix. You don't take another magic pill or a magic mushroom and you're fixed. It doesn't work like that. But what it does do is maybe gets you clear on the things you do need to work on, and then you go and do that, and it's just come from a more clear, pure space, I guess.
What is it that makes the brain click from a substance like that, do you think? Like, is it, like, what mechanics happen up here to kind of rewire something that's been, for example, like, let's say a heroin addict. A lot of people are using this to get off drugs, as you said. What is it that this substance does to stop that repetitive, compulsive behavior?
Yeah.
What do you think it is?
My best guess would be the same as what the most important thing for anything in behavioral change, which is a shift in perspective. Like, if you can stop seeing things in the same blinkered way you have for a long time, and you can have anything that for that one moment in time can get you and go, let's look at it this way.
Yeah, right.
Things can radically change instantaneously.
Yeah.
And I feel like all of them will have that in common.
Yeah.
And then from that shift in perspective, you can access such deeper connection to love, to yourself, and reconnect to what it feels like to truly love yourself and love something else and be grateful, because a lot of drugs, particularly MDMA, is going to definitely increase that kind of chemical outcome. Yeah. So I think shift in perspective is definitely one of the biggest links between them all.
Well, I'll share something that an ex-girlfriend of mine from Europe, Poland, she runs a lot of these workshops at Burning Man.
Right, amazing.
And
amazing.
and she does a lot of work with ayahuasca. She's basically like a shaman, like sha woman, whatever they call it.
Sha woman.
And I, a while back, reconnected with her and went through an MDMA therapy session with her.
Amazing.
And that was pretty amazing. Where, like usually people would take this and go to a rave and go partying or just go wild. I was literally alone in my room on a Skype call with her.
Wow. And
just like going through it. So that was pretty,
What was the outcome for you?
I definitely felt a lot better after, and I felt lighter, and I felt, Tucker, do you know Tucker Max?
No.
So he has, he's a pretty big author, and he wrote a really big piece about MDMA therapy that went viral on Medium. And I did it after I saw that, and I was just like, it made a lot of sense what he said in it, and I felt a lot of the results and experiences that he went through, that you just kind of feel this letting go of past situations that are kind of harboring heaviness. And I wanted to do with her because we know each other extremely well.
Feel safe,
We know the deepest and darkest secrets of everything that we went through together. Like, we trauma bonded. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with that in relationships, so we both went through just like some severe heavy traumas right before we both met.
Wow.
And we both just connected, like, like each of each other was like our lifesavers, and we were together for about a year and had this great relationship and remain great friends after. So I connected with her about what she was doing in that space of coaching and work with some of the not meds, I guess. What would you even call these? Just
MDMA, just alternative therapies.
Alternative therapies, yeah. So went through that process and really liked it. I did a lot of research before doing it, and just like Vice has done a lot of pieces on it. It's just becoming, even the MAD, I think it's called MAD. No, that's the Drunk Drivers. No, there's a really big medical agency that's like bringing this into like becoming.
Yeah, I know what you mean. What is it called? so obvious as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
but they're essentially forefronting
the
studies.
Yeah, and just like
trying to get it legalized for medical use.
Exactly, right? And even Tim Ferriss is funding a bunch of these studies and research stuff. Like he's heavy into it. So yeah, I think that we're going to see a lot of these new methods and chemicals, I guess, for overcoming that aren't drugs. They're just good drugs.
Yeah. But most they've either come from the earth or they can be found in the body already.
Right. Yeah.
That's always a good sign, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's not aesthetic. You know, it's not something that's been just made externally. That's completely foreign to the body.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I've been really interested in learning more about that, because in the personal development and, I guess, awareness industry of trying to become the best version of yourself, you have to overcome what you've gone through to kind of.
It's the first bit, right?
Yeah. So
a lot of people try and skip that.
Yeah, exactly, and they want the quick fix.
They want to advise other people, but not work for themselves. You know, and that's difficult.
So how do a lot of people kind of connect with you in your coaching? You know, if you want to kind of share what you do with clients and the work that you're doing, and maybe what you're working on now with your depression program.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So best place to connect is on Instagram, really. Best place to connect. Don't
get
be on there 5 hours a day.
Get those. Yeah.
Do not be on there 5 hours a day. Yeah. Ask yourself why you're going on there first.
Yeah.
You know, set an intention. But yeah, at Callum Hardingham is probably the best place.
Below here. Yeah.
Yeah, easy. And then with regards to right now, I'm currently working on a project with a company based in Ubud called East West. Incredible company with an incredible mission to bring alternative approaches to what would traditionally be described as chronic diseases, so anxiety, female hormonal imbalances, gut health, and obviously with myself, we're working through depression from a space that's not reliant on medication. It's not adverse to it. You know, there's going to be lots of people in the program, I imagine, who are currently on meds. And I only imagine that once they go through this program, they're finally going to have the facility within themselves to come off the meds gradually and safely. That's a big part of my mission, to liberate people, to not have to be living in fear of depression. You know, I know the feeling, you know the feeling. It takes your soul if you let it, and you're not taught how to come away from this. We're not given the tools, and you've got a society and a culture now that's a complete mismatch to our own human needs. So no wonder people feel shit, and as long as we keep prescribing to this society, we're going to have problems. But if we bring the power back to ourselves, and as you are doing in education, and we re-educate ourselves and others to understand the core human needs that we all have. You can't ignore them, they're there. As long as you're human, you've got to kind of go with them. This course in this program is designed to help really engage people back with those core human needs and have fun with it, enjoy doing it, and just create a life that's going to be so much more epic after it.
Well, that's going to impact millions of people.
I hope so, man.
And it's just something that is an epidemic that's not really being spotlight shone in it as much as it should be, with everything that's really and you look at depression, it branches off into so many different avenues of addiction, suicide, family drama, all
problems in the whole spectrum.
It's just like this ripple effect. So if you get to the root of what's causing all these things, then you'll see a decrease in all these other symptoms and results, right?
You certainly will, man.
So that's awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for taking the time here today.
My pleasure, brother.
It's been awesome hanging out the last while, and I'll definitely look forward to hearing what your journey comes with this new project, and keep me updated, and we can maybe have round 2 when you're releasing it and kind of give people.
Let's definitely do that. Let's definitely do that, mate. And thanks for reaching out. It's been a pleasure speaking and connecting as always. Bali has a great way of bringing people together.
Like I said, man, this month from the outside on paper it would look unproductive, but this has probably been the most productive month of like the last year for sure. Man. So, you guys, hopefully, if you enjoyed this, which I'm sure you have, because there's a lot of deep insights here that was shared.
And so much more to speak about. So much more.
Yeah. This really just touches the surface here. So if you know somebody that has been struggling with depression or anxiety or any kind of things that we all go through, go feel free to share this episode with them and connect with Callum and just all the resources that are out there. Like 7cups.com, I mentioned earlier, it's a free counseling online chat resource. So there's a lot of support there. And if you are struggling, just go as cliche as it says, get help, but really, like, everyone's been through it. There's no shame in reaching out to someone like myself. There's thousands of other people out there online that are helping people deal with everything we went through here, so you're not alone. That's one thing I realized from this group.
Remember that. You're
not alone. Like, the thing that I really realized this week or this month going to these men's groups and people sharing, I'm like, I can relate to that. Like, we're all going through it, and that's one of the things that people always share. Like, wow, I thought I was the only one experiencing this, but you're not.
It's like,
at all.
You're not special in that way. You're not unique in that way. We're all having these issues.
Yeah.
Let's share them.
And I think that's important for people just to hear that, and then it kind of releases it, and that's just to hear that you're not the only one. So go ahead, share this with someone that might get benefit from it, and as always, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Peace.
Right as the thunder goes.
Yeah, good timing, man.
Yeah.